How's it going, folks? So, if you've been in the gun debate for a bit, if you've spoken with a number of people on this topic for a bit, you will notice that there are certain people, they're not really gun controllers, they're not really activists, they're just your average person who has, maybe bought into some of the nonsense on this gun law or the next gun law. And believe it or not, most of those polls where they're sitting there claiming, well, X number of Americans support this gun law, a lot of those people get included in the gun control side. And it's not because these people are gun controllers, it's because these people have been fed a proposal created by the gun controllers, and with no small assistance from the media, have managed to get the idea out and make it sound as if it is something reasonable when it's not. Now, when talking to these people, you have to be very careful to make the distinction between them and the gun controllers, because with these people, you can at least say, well, look, here's the issue right here. This is the problem. This law is not going to work, and this is going to be another paper cut down a long list of paper cuts that have been dealt out by the gun controllers. Long story short is, well, there's always going to be this new gun law out there that the gun controllers are going to dress up with rhetoric and make it sound perfectly reasonable. And one of the things our side needs to do is point out how it's unreasonable. Some of us do this phenomenally well. Some of us have a hard time with it. So, on that note, what we have to do is point out, yes, I'll give an example. In 1993, their proposal was they just wanted this gun law, to make people who are in the business of selling FFLs have to conduct background checks. It was called the Brady Bill. Well, they got that. And lo and behold, they weren't satisfied with that. And that bill didn't do all the stuff it was promised to do. And this is the things that we need to point out. Because they're always going to come up with another gun law. They're always going to find ways to try to dress it up to make it sound reasonable. One of our big things today, red flag laws. Actually, certain states already have them on the books. A shocking number actually have them on the books. The gun controllers have used rhetoric. Well, we need to temporarily remove the firearms from people who are dangerous. Well, these red flag laws don't always do this temporarily, one, but two, when you start digging down into these red flag laws, you notice you violate more than just the Second Amendment. And you completely destroy principles that we've held in this country ever since this country was founded, and indeed prior to this country being founded. I mean, with red flag laws, you're not talking about the standard we normally deprive people of their property and liberty based on, i.e., they've been convicted in a courtroom beyond a reasonable doubt. We've gotten rid of that part. It's not even we've convicted you on preponderance of the preponderance of evidence, which is the lowest legal standard for evidence. It's not that well, we've charged you with anything. You haven't. It's not that we have probable cause to suspect that you are going to commit this specific crime in the future. It's going beyond that. It's going beyond, we suspect you of planning a crime. It simply goes to, we feel this person may sometime in the future do something or not do something that's dangerous. Therefore, we're going to deprive this person of their liberty. And usually it's done when they send a team of SWAT to an unsuspecting person's house who's been red flagged to confiscate all of their firearms. I mean, imagine one day getting a knock on your door. It's something you value, something that cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, now is being confiscated. You got the news like 30 seconds ago, and now you have to produce this. And then maybe you might get a chance in a couple of weeks to go to court if you have the money to go and fight to try to get this back. This is how far beyond the pale we've gotten with red flag laws. Yet, they've been dressed up so much to a point to where you have people who call themselves pro-gun supporting them. And these people are simply not even pro-gun at this point. I mean, they're definitely not pro-2A. These people either A, haven't been paying attention, or B, have authoritarian tendencies themselves. So, yes. And another example of a law that's being proposed, and actually I think it managed to get on the books in New York, is now you have to provide in New York a list of your social media accounts. Well, why would this be? Now, of course, the gun controllers have dressed this up as, well, we need to deny people who are dangerous because they're posting this stuff on social media. Therefore, we need to actually make them prohibited persons over this. Well, who gets to decide what a dangerous post is? And this is a problem here. If your politics are of a certain stripe, you're probably not going to get prohibited. Well, you may or may not. If your politics are of a certain stripe, regardless of whether or not you've said anything threatening, call for violence, or anything like that, there's a good chance they're going to deny you over that. If you don't believe me, look at how Facebook, Twitter, and all of them have acted with their terms of service so far. You don't think there's been a number of people who have been way unjustifiably censored? I don't think censorship is justifiable in any circumstance. Save something like where a person's being doxxed, or you have child pornography or something like that. That would be one thing. But there are people who get kicked off of those platforms simply for stating an opinion that the establishment class does not like. You think that this is not going to be abused to deny people of certain political stripes their lawful ability to own a firearm? Now, the fact of the matter is that it will be abused. You don't need a crystal ball, and you don't need to be clairvoyant to see that. We're seeing it as is. We're seeing it play out as is with their current behavior with social media. And if you really want to look into the deep future of what's going to happen if we keep going down this path, look at the UK. Everyone remembers Count Dankula, the guy who, as a practical joke, taught his dog the Nazi salute, and well, he got put in jail for it. Well, he got arrested for it, at least. I'm not sure what exactly became of all that. But an internet joke. Or the gun controllers, as long as they disarm someone, as long as they're taking people's guns away, they don't care if the person whose guns they took away it was actually going to use them for any ill intent or not. They don't give a shit whether or not this person, dies and, might still very well be alive had they had the firearm to protect themselves. And this is what it's come down to. And quite frankly, this has kind of been a pattern that's been coming even in the U.S. And thankfully for us, we do have a significant element of the population who are standing up for our, quite frankly, natural right protected by the Constitution. It's not that big bad NRA that's been doing all this. It's been and has always been people who've said, hey, look, we've had enough. And if you're really pro 2A, it's time to recognize we cannot accept any more of these stupid gun laws. In fact, we need to push back. And this is one of our massive problems, I think, is that sure, you have some of us saying, yes, let's repeal all these bad gun laws, all these unconstitutional gun laws. Problem is, there is either A, is not enough of us to push back on it, or B, many times we'll sit there and stop short. Prime example, in 2017, we had concealed carry reciprocity that was about to be made law, as well as another sweet Pro 2A bill. One of the provisions would remove suppressors from the NFA list, among other things. Those bills should have been slam dunks. And yet, they were taken off the books, pulled, might I add, by people like Paul Ryan. And we simply let that happen. We got too complacent. Furthermore, we will sit there and rest on our victories when we should continue to push harder and harder and harder. We have a problem with being too satisfied too soon, too easily. And with the world we're in, we shouldn't be. I mean, I know that it's a breath of fresh air, to get a victory for us, stuff like shall issue concealed carry. I mean, that was a massive breath of fresh air. But the thing is we can't stop. Why? The gun controllers aren't going to stop. You notice how they never stop. They'll continue to put a scary looking gun ban out, even though they know it has no chance of passing. They will continue with this whole universal background check thing, even while knowing it's not going to pass. How many times have we repeatedly put out the CCW National Reciprocity Bill and just kept on putting it out regardless of whether or not we knew it was going to pass? How many times have we harped on stuff like the SHARE Act, which I believe was the name of that act that was a super sweet bill that we almost got passed in 2017. One of the provisions was it was going to take suppressors off the NFA list, among other things. This is the thing. We're not constantly harping on this over and over and over again. I love the fact that we got these Supreme Court victories. Now, we got to keep pushing on and using that momentum to start pulling all these unconstitutional laws off the book while we have a Supreme Court that's still favorable to our stuff, to a particular freedom that we value. Because believe it or not, Supreme Court is not going to have that same composition forever anyway. There is going to be a point to where those Supreme Court justices have to step down, and they'll be replaced. By who? We don't know. But it does most definitely look like there are several people who will put activist judges in there, as opposed to judges and justices, I should say, that will take the Constitution based on the text. And this is unfortunate. What we need to do is keep pushing with what we got right now. So, I'm going to leave it at that. The fact of the matter is, we do need to continue the fight. Because, let's face facts, folks, gun controllers are not going to stop. And furthermore, I think it would be nice one day where we got rid of all these ridiculous gun laws like the NFA, and eventually we had a museum of guns just like these, which are, have some NFA workarounds in them. I think that would be sweet. I think that it would be sweet to see a gun like this on display with the tab below it saying, well, from 1934 to X year, there was a law called the NFA that was in existence. It imposed some ridiculous requirements in order to get a rifle, a sub-carbine, a yada, 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 with a barrel less than a certain amount without a bunch of extra paperwork and a bunch of extra hoops you had to jump through in order to get one of those. Now, thankfully, many people in this country saw a way around this, so they developed the arm brace, which could be used as a stock in theory. So, this is how this arm brace came into development. I mean, wouldn't y'all love to see a museum like that and look back and look at the NFA as some sort of relic? I would. I mean, I know we're not going to see this in our lifetimes, but it would be nice to see it in our children's or our grandchildren's or our great-grandchildren's lifetime. Wouldn't it be nice for our great-grandkids to grow up in a world where the NFA didn't exist prior to while they were born? The NFA was done away with prior to their birth. I would love to see that. But that's just me. Folks, you have the comment section below. As you always know, my comment section is always a free speech comment section. Let me know what you think. Y'all take her easy out there and have a great day.